Welcome to today's adventure into the Food and Drug Administration, commonly known as the FDA. The FDA is pivotal in regulating drug manufacturing and ensuring the safety, efficacy, and quality of the pharmaceutical products in the United States. Their processes help to safeguard public health by ensuring medications are safe and effective. Let's start off by learning a little about what the FDA is and what they do to help keep our patients safe. Before a drug can hit the shelves, it goes through several phases of chemical testing known as clinical trials. These trials evaluate the drug's safety, efficacy, and dosing regimen. The FDA reviews extensive preclinical and clinical trial data submitted by manufacturers to assess the drug's suitability for public use. This review process includes assessment by teams and medical reviewers, statistics, chemists, and other experts. If the FDA determines that the benefits of the drug outweigh the risk and that it meets the agency's standards for safety, efficacy, and quality, it approves the drug for marketing and sale in the United States. Approval may be granted with certain conditions or restrictions, such as the requirement for post-marketing studies to further assess safety or efficacy. This is what happened with certain vaccines and medications during some of our global health crisis events. A drug may be given an emergency use authorization, and the FDA will monitor and follow up on all the drugs related data during its use. If adverse reaction of a significant health risk are found, the FDA will put the drug off the market. The FDA sets and enforces standards for drug manufacturing to ensure medications meet quality, purity, and potency specifications. They conduct inspections of manufacturing facilities to assess compliance with the regulations. Noncompliance can result in enforcement actions like product recalls and fines. Clinical trials may continue after FDA approval, and if a drug is found to have adverse effects, it may be recalled. As future medical assistants, you need to be aware of the importance of reporting any suspected adverse drug events or reactions to the appropriate healthcare provider and authorities. To help regulate the safety of drugs, the FDA has a program called MedWatch for voluntary reporting to adverse events noted during clinical care. An adverse event is an undesirable experience for a patient associated with the use of a medical product. Reporting of these events is done of the FDA website. As a medical assistant, it is your job to accurately and completely document events of the patient's medical record and report it to the clinical manager or provider. They will instruct you on what to do next. The FDA also classifies drugs into several categories to provide healthcare providers and patients with information about their potential risk during pregnancy and lactation. These categories are labeled as A, B, C, D, or X, indicating the level of risk based on available data. Category A drugs are considered safe to use during pregnancy, and Category B drugs denote that there may be limited data in humans, but the potential benefits may outweigh the risk in certain situations. Category C drugs may be used and the potential benefits justify the potential risk. Category D drugs may be used if there are no safer alternatives available, and Category X drugs are contraindicated in pregnancy and should not be used. It's important to note that the FDA's drug category primarily provide guidance for healthcare providers and patients regarding the potential risk associated with medication use during pregnancy. Healthcare providers must weigh the potential risk and benefits of medication use on a case-by-case basis and consider all factors. These factors include the severity of the medical condition, available treatment options, and the patient's individual circumstances. The basic types of medicines available in the U.S. fall into three main groups: over-the-counter substances, prescription medications, and other treatments. These treatments are all part of the MA's day-to-day documentation, so it's important to understand the differences between them. Over-the-counter drugs are medications that can be sold directly to consumers without a prescription. The FDA evaluates these drugs for safety and efficiency before they can be marketed. The approval process of OTC drugs is typically less rigorous than that from prescription drugs. The FDA evaluates the active ingredients, dosages, indications, and labeling of OTC drugs to ensure that they are safe and effective for consumer use without the supervision of a healthcare provider. The FDA also regulates the labeling of OTC drugs to ensure that it provides clear and accurate information for consumers, including instructions for use, warning, precautions, and potential side effects. Labeling requirements also include information on active ingredients, dosage, instructions, and expiration dates. Prescription drugs are medications that require a healthcare provider's prescription for use. The FDA evaluates prescription drugs through a rigorous approval process, including preclinical studies and clinical trials, to assess their safety and efficacy for specific medical conditions. The FDA reviews data submitted by drug manufacturers in a new drug application or biologics license application before granting approval for marketing and sale. Some prescriptions can be more habit forming and addictive than others. For these drugs and others, agency steps in and regulates how and when they are prescribed. We will cover these special schedules and drug enforcement agency roles in an upcoming activity. The FDA also evaluates other treatments such as dietary supplements, homeopathic remedies, and some herbal products for safety and labeling compliance. These other treatments are known as complementary and alternative medicine or CAM. Unlike prescriptions and OTC drugs, CAM products are not subject to the same rigorous pre-market approval process. Instead, the FDA regulates CAM products under the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act, whereas over-the-counter drugs, depending on their ingredients and intended use, the FDA regulates the labeling of CAM products to ensure that it provides accurate information for consumers. This includes ingredient lists, directions for use, warning, and other required information. Do note that labeling requirements for CAM products may differ from those for conventional drugs, and manufacturers may make certain health claims or statements without the same label of scientific evidence required for drugs. Wow, that was a lot of good information. Did you realize the FDA has such an important role in what we can take, even if it doesn't require a prescription? FDA regulations in healthcare are vital to ensure patient safety and effective medication management. By knowing their role, drug classifications, and labeling requirements, you'll contribute significantly to safe and effective healthcare delivery.